What if the real experiment of love is blind isn't what happens in the pods, but what happens in your brain while you watch? From the first confession to the last I do, the show doesn't just tell a story, it installs one inside you. It turns your nervous system into a stage. Dopamine spikes, cortisol rises, oxytocin whispers, and suddenly you're not just an observer, you're emotionally entangled. That's why your hand hovers over the next episode button like it's fate, because every scene is built on an ancient trick: promise, uncertainty, and payoff. Your brain loves promise. It hates uncertainty. And it keeps chasing payoff, especially when the payoff sometimes arrives and sometimes shatters. That unpredictability is the trap. That variability is the engine. Slot machines use it. Social media uses it. Love is Blind perfects it. But let's go beneath the edit. The pods are a ritual, and rituals change people. When you remove sight, you force the body to listen. Breath, rhythm, word choice. Suddenly, the surface can't save you. Vulnerability becomes currency. Confession becomes seduction. In that darkness, people speak to the versions of themselves they wish they could be. And we watch because the mirror lifts. We see our own longing for acceptance without performance. The producers know that vulnerability is value and hesitation is gold. A pause before I love you is not silence, it's a cliff. And cliffs are addictive. Here's the part we rarely admit. Love is Blind weaponizes attachment psychology. You can spot the anxious chaser, the avoidant runner, the secure anchor, and you unconsciously pick sides. Your body recognizes patterns long before your mind does. Someone pleads, someone withdraws. Someone performs certainty to hide fear. The show frames these dances as romance, but your nervous system reads them as survival. That's why the altar feels like life or death. The stakes aren't marriage, they're identity. Will I be chosen? Will I be seen as good? Will I be enough without the mask? The show answers with a ritualized reveal that feels religious. Doors open, faces collide, ideals fracture. And if someone walks away, the rejection lights up the same neural pain pathways as a burn. We flinch, we rage, we stay. Because pain is information, and information is story, and story is the drug. Parasocial bonds are the accelerant. You don't just know the contestants, you internally model them. Your brain builds tiny simulations of their desires, fears, and future outcomes. That's why you argue with the TV like it can hear you. That's why you form alliances, cheer for redemption arcs, and demand justice when betrayal hits. Moral outrage isn't a side effect, it's a feature. Outrage increases attention, attention increases retention, retention increases virality. A single moment of dissonance, a secret, a break of trust explodes online because it offers what the brain craves: a puzzle with heat. And puzzles with heat are shareable. Love is Blind also hacks status. Romance is framed as a prize, commitment as a trophy, rejection as exile. In the pods, status is earned by words. Outside, it's measured by image, lifestyle, social approval. That shift is violent. When the veil drops, you watch a clash. Inner myth meets external market. Suddenly, love must survive lighting, editing, proximity, and public judgment. We're not evaluating soulmates. We're measuring brand compatibility. That's brutal, and it's irresistible because it reflects reality. Love in 2025 is an ecosystem of optics, timing, and algorithmic exposure. The show doesn't fight that truth, it amplifies it. There's a deeper seduction at play: identity, storyline transfer. Each contestant carries an archetype: the idealist, the strategist, the martyr, the phoenix, the masked king queen. When their arc advances, your brain borrows the power of their narrative. If the phoenix transforms, breaks, learns, returns stronger, you get a surge of borrowed hope. If the martyr crashes, gives too much, loses themselves, you get a warning label stamped on your heart. The show sells lessons without a classroom, and because those lessons come in wrapped in emotion, they stick longer than logic ever could. Now, think about the altar like a temple of uncertainty. This is the show's master lever. You know the question, you don't know the answer, and you can't look away. That tension is crafted with surgical precision. Words slow down. Breaths become plot points. Silence is weaponized. The moment of decision is never about yes or no. It's about the collapse of potential into reality. Your brain fights that collapse because potential is intoxicating. It holds every fantasy at once. Reality forces a choice. And so the editors stretch that moment until you feel like you're the one being asked. Ever notice how you forgive red flags if the confession is beautiful enough? That's oxytocin talking, the bonding hormone that rises when we hear vulnerable, sincere storytelling. The show pairs vulnerability with proximity, then tests it with friction. By the time the conflict hits, you're already bonded. You don't just want resolution, you want restoration. Restoration arcs are powerful. They promise that the world can be broken and still heal. Even if it's a lie we long for. And longing is the hook. Here's the quiet genius. Love is Blind is designed like a game with levels. Pods, pure voice, maximum idealization. Reveal, test of cognitive dissonance. Can your imagined lover survive reality's texture? Co-living, stress test of habits, rituals, financial values, and micro-boundaries. Family and friends, social proof and social pressure. Altar, binary choice ritual with maximum public stakes. Reunion, memory edit, narrative correction, and audience validation. Each level escalates uncertainty while increasing your investment. You're not watching levels, you're ascending them emotionally. That ascent is sticky.
Why does this show feel bigger in a world of swipes? Because it reframes the scarcity. On apps, the scarcity is attention. On Love is Blind, the scarcity is courage. Will you risk being seen without image armor? The show's promise, love beyond looks, sounds like a cure for modern dating fatigue. Whether or not it delivers is almost beside the point. The promise itself is a viral engine because it taps a collective ache. We're tired of performance. We're starving for intimacy. The show offers a lab where intimacy is supposedly pure, but laboratories are controlled environments, and control is power. Don't mistake the experiment for freedom. It's a curated chaos designed to keep your nervous system oscillating between hope and fear. That oscillation is the loop. Moral complexity fuels replay. If a character makes a messy choice, you rationalize, you judge, you reinterpret. The brain hates contradiction. It tries to resolve it by generating alternate narratives. This re-narration process happens in group chats, on social platforms, in your head. Resolution requires conversation, and conversation drives visibility. Visibility drives virality. The show whispers, "Decide who was wrong." You answer with content. We also can't ignore the beauty trap. Cinematic framing turns ordinary interactions into myth. A glance becomes fate. A hand release becomes tragedy. Color palettes signal emotional weather. Cool blues for doubt, warm ambers for intimacy, stark whites for judgment. Your brain reads these codes even if you don't consciously notice. The visual grammar keeps your emotions in key, cueing you when to lean in, when to brace, when to believe. That's not manipulation, that's mastery. And mastery makes time disappear. Here's something uncomfortable. You might be watching to practice your own decisions. Say yes, say no, walk away, hold the line, forgive, draw the boundary. Every episode is a simulation of a choice you fear in your own life. You test responses by proxy. You fail safely through them. This is why "I would never" is a lie our brains love. We would under pressure. We might when lonely. The show creates pressure chambers and gives you the illusion of distance while quietly moving the pressure inside you. That's why it lingers when the credits roll. And then there's the echo of ritual shame and public redemption. Being rejected in front of others is ancient pain. Being chosen publicly is ancient triumph. The show resurrects those rights with modern lighting and microphones, but the body doesn't care about the century, it cares about the signal. Chosen, not chosen, worthy, unworthy. We watch to see where we land, always hoping the next arc will land us on worthy. That's the story we want to believe about ourselves, and the show rents it to us, one episode at a time. The last layer is the metagame. We don't just consume Love is Blind, we perform it. We rank couples, predict outcomes, stake takes, and build identity capital around our opinions. I knew it. I called that. Prediction is status, and status turns viewers into players. Players stay to the end because the end is their scoreboard. Were you right? Were you early? Did your read match the reveal? When your prediction hits, dopamine spikes. When it misses, curiosity spikes. Either way, the loop spins. So why can't we stop? Because Love is Blind binds three magnets: uncertainty, intimacy, and identity. Uncertainty keeps you leaning forward. Intimacy keeps your heart open. Identity keeps you personally invested. Together, they create resonance, emotional gravity strong enough to pull you across hours. The show doesn't ask for your attention. It earns your compulsion. It crafts cliff after cliff, not just to make you watch, but to make you feel like your own story could be next, that you could be chosen without the mask, loved without performance, seen without fear. And even if the altar splits that dream, even if reality is heavier than the fantasy, you'll come back. Not because love is blind, because hope is. And hope, once ignited, doesn't cancel. It compels.